Hi, and welcome to The Curling Show, the podcast that brings you interviews with the sport's top athletes and the people who shape the game. I'm Dean Gemmel, and in this edition, we caught up with Cory Naharnie, lead for Team Burtnyk, the day before his team started play in the Asham World Curling Tour's Myers-Norris-Penny Prairie Classic, which is, of course, entirely different from the Myers-Norris-Penny Charity Classic of 2 weeks ago. The doctor is in, or on the phone anyway. Cory Naharnie, lead for the hottest team on the World Curling Tour, Team Burtnyk. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dean. Always a pleasure.
Hey, my predictions are lousy, typically, but if I'd thought back to the start of this year, I probably would have looked at your new lineup and said, well, you know, you got a legend in Cory Burtnyk at skip. At third, you've got a guy who had in Dan Kamerlock, who had a confidence-shaking season last year, a second who actually bumped up to replace Dan at third on the team last year, and you, fresh off the Team Ryan Fry experience, I probably would have said this team might take a while to gel, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Why is that?
Well, I think it certainly helped out that Cory decided to take us out to Switzerland for our first bond spiel. We had a few days where we actually got a chance to get to know each other a little bit better. We had a few drinks, did a little bit of sightseeing, played a little bit of golf, and you know, it certainly helps to get along off the ice before you actually step onto the ice. So, and Cory's always had success in Switzerland, so I figured it was a great place to start off.
So I take it from the way you guys talk about that Switzerland trip with maybe the yodeling and the fondue or whatever else went on over there. But it sounds like maybe you guys, even though you played against each other a bit and in and around, it wasn't like this was a team of guys that knew each other all that well.
Well, I had golfed with Cory over the last couple of years at our home golf course here, so I've got to know him pretty well off the ice. And, I've curled with Rich, actually, a couple times in the past 10 years, once in juniors and for a couple of years out of juniors. So I've known Rich for a while, and Dan's sort of the new face on the scene here, but I got to know him pretty well last year just by touring. You know, we'd always sort of end up in the same spots, and, they had a lot more time off the ice to sort of drown their sorrows, and we had a little bit of success off the ice. So, it's not like we're complete strangers, which has certainly helped. Like I said, I mean, Switzerland, it was just a great opportunity for us to sort of really solidify that relationship.
Let's talk about the breakup of your team last year. Team Fry, sort of a unique group, a bunch of young guys. You played a grueling schedule last year to do well, and you did pretty well. I think you were probably pretty disappointed when that team went separate ways, even though now I'm sure the record so far this season has soothed any of those problems pretty nicely. But how disappointed were you when that team came to a close?
Oh, very disappointed. I mean, we were four guys who were best of friends off the ice, and, we always got along. And, to have success like we did. And like you said, we did have a grueling schedule, so we did take our lumps here and there. But I mean, when you start to win, you obviously feel a little bit better about yourselves, and you always look forward to the future and think, well, okay, we can build off this and sort of see what else we can do. So when that happened, I mean, we were all devastated.
And what really sparked that was, I guess, Ryan leaving to play with Jeff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just sort of came out of the blue, and it was a great opportunity for Ryan, and we can't really fault him for his decision. I mean, we all grew up wanting to curl with the Jeff Stoutons and the Cory Burtnyks, and so when he had that opportunity, I mean, kudos for him for taking that. Of course, we were a little disappointed because we thought we had a good thing going, and we thought it could only get better from there. And I kind of lucked out in my situation, and when Cory asked me to curl with them, I was just, really excited at the opportunity. So I guess one door closed, but another one quickly opened up for me.
You're carving out quite an identity for yourself at lead, and I know you've been on curlingzone.com talking about the lead position a bit. We talk about lead, and some people undermine the position, and yet last year in the trials finals, for example, I think lead rocks played an important role in both the last end of both games, both finals. What's your take on playing lead?
Well, like you said, I mean, lead has been one of those positions where in the past it's always been sort of you throw the weakest guy at lead, and you know what, if you miss your first couple of hits in the end or your first couple of draws, big deal, you got the other guys behind you. But I mean, now there's definitely a niche for leads where, I mean, you have to have really good draw weight and sweeping too. I mean, you look at Furby's front end, I mean, those guys they can sweep the pebble right off the ice there, almost right down to the paint at times, and that's really important too. I mean, if a lead slips into the house in the 10th end there, and they can lose the game for the team right there. I mean, you're never going to win a game at the lead position, but you got to take pride in what you're doing and do it as best you can. And that's the way I've sort of taken on that role is just do it as best I can. Go out there and try and curl 100% every game.
I thought you did make good points in the forums, actually, though, that you're playing pretty precise shots all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, especially on the kind of ice you curl on in those big events. I mean, you can't just hang a guard just over the hog line or even halfway. You got to be tight to the rings there, which makes the opposition's first rock that much more difficult, And then with the freeze, I mean, it's one of the harder shots in curling, and you really got to nail that. You can't just sort of put it somewhere in the house there. I mean, if I can wire that first freeze on there, I mean, it really makes the opposition's job that much more difficult.
Let's talk a little bit about the games you've played this season. There was talk about the final at the Strauss Crown of Curling not being the most exciting final ever. Was it a little conservative?
Yeah, for sure. And we played in a few finals. I mean, and even with Team Pride there, everybody sort of tightens up a little bit, and you don't want to take any unnecessary chances because, one slip up and the game could be over, and there's the whole Bondsfield right there. I mean, we're a very aggressive team, but if they weren't willing to be aggressive, then we weren't willing to take any chances either. I mean, especially since we had the hammer to start, and then later on in the game we were tied up with the hammer. So, I mean, we figured that and if they aren't going to play that style, then neither are we. And it's I don't care if it's a boring game or the most exciting final you've ever seen. I'd rather win the game playing really boring rather than lose it in a 10-9 shootout.
We all want exciting games all the time, but that's not going to happen every single time anyways. I mean, we can't just manufacture excitement all the time. I think fans have to recognize that. Nonetheless, what about other games this season? I mean, you had the big day out in Gander where you played, Howard, Furby, and Martin in one day?
Yeah, they're definitely not any slouches by no means. I think it was easier for us to be in that position than any of those three teams because they were expected to win all those games. I mean, they were expected to win the Bondsfield. We were just sort of expected to go out and compete and make it a close game. So I feel that we were probably more relaxed out there because we didn't have any of that pressure on us. And, things just started falling into place, too. I mean, we got our lucky breaks, but we also made some great shots, too. So we were just absolutely dumbfounded at the end of the day. I mean, we still couldn't believe it flying back home the next day.
How many losses have you guys actually had this year?
3 losses in total. One was to Ulsrud in Switzerland. That was in an A qualifier. And we actually got hammered by Furby in our first game in Gander. I think it was 8-1 in 4 ends. And we lost to Sean Adams in Gander as well in one of the round-robin games.
Hey, what's your next event after Portage La Prairie this weekend?
Well, finally a weekend off to sort of to rest up a little bit, and then we go right back at her to Lloydminster in a couple weeks, and then another weekend off, and I think we're playing locally at Stonewall, just outside of Winnipeg, and then the Slam, and then the Canada Cup qualifier.
Hey, I'm finally, I think you're the only guy who can clear this up for me. I can't find an image of it, but I'm trying to figure out which Wilson brother wore the headband and which one wore the Pittsburgh Pirates cap.
I'm not too sure.
You're not sure either?
No, I thought
okay, I'm going to ask my listeners to send me an email and let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you have brought back the headband nicely. Any sponsors on the headband this year?
No, not yet. But one of our title sponsors, Geldwin Windows and Doors, they were talking about maybe getting 100 or 200 headbands printed up. So I'm really hoping they do because it'd be a nice little giveaway at the Slams and other events like that. It might be kind of cheesy, but it would be something else to see a couple hundred fans sitting in the stands all wearing bright orange headbands.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing the headband back. I don't know if we need everybody in them, but one guy maybe is enough. But I do need to know which Wilson brother wore the headband and which one. I'm pretty sure it was a Pittsburgh Pirates cap.
Yeah, well, when you find out, yeah, I got to see a picture of that.
I can't find any photos. But anyways, finally, explain the doctor designation. Everybody calls you doctor, and I don't think you're a doctor of anything. No,
not really. I do have a surgeon's touch on the ice there with my draw weight.
Yes.
And
I'm sure it goes deeper than that, but this is a family show maybe.
Oh, yeah, well, you ask Carrie about it. I can dissect that fairway like nobody else when we're out golfing. So, but it was actually just a nickname given to me by one of my coworkers, and it just sort of stuck from there on. Everybody sort of caught on to it. So nothing too special, but it seems to work, and like you said, separates me from everybody else. I mean, not too many people will put doctor or their nickname on the back of their jacket. So.
All right, well, just remember you can't technically practice in the province of Manitoba without a license, so you'll have to keep it to curling.
I'll remember that. Thanks, Dean.
All right, we finished with a run back. I give you a topic. You give me your thoughts in 1 to 3 words.
Okay.
The Swiss Alps.
Gorgeous country. I'd like to ski it next time we go there.
8N Games.
Good idea.
Playing in Portage-la Prairie.
I love Flap. My girlfriend's from Portage-la Prairie, and we've had some success there in the past. So, and a great venue too. I mean, the Canad Inns has the hotel actually attached to the curling club. So once I get there, I don't even have to take my curling shoes off.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard, right? You can just stay in the hotel and stumble to the curling club.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
It's right there. Corn broom sweeping.
Oh, bring it back. Let me tell you.
You know what? They should make one Asham World Curling Tour event, corn broom sweeping only, and see what happens.
Well, Fry and I always joked around. You know, we had our big idea of like the headband and the nicknames on the jackets, and our big thing was if we ever made a Brier final, I'd bring out the corn broom.
That'd be sweet. In a Brier final, and that would be unwise, actually, Cory. It's a bad idea. Grand Slams.
Oh, love them. What a great concept.
That number 66 guy in the Curling Zone forums.
He's got his own opinions, and he's more than entitled to them.
He's a bit mad, though. He's a bit... I sometimes wonder if it isn't Dallas.
You know what? I'm sure he's a great guy, and I'd like to meet him one day.
I know, but he goes to events and doesn't introduce himself, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Anyways, and finally, maybe you've seen these guys, but if you have, this will work. But if you haven't, it won't. Team China. Team China,
amazing. To see where they've come from and where they're going is absolutely incredible. I mean, I think Eddie Lukowich was talking about he was keeping track of the stats one game, and their third curled 98%.
Yeah, I watched them play on Curl TV. I thought they looked freakishly good for guys who probably been playing like. I joked to Craig Saville, they've been playing 8 months, but it's probably been about 3 years or something.
Maybe, but I mean, they practice 4 hours a day every day. I talked to their coach, Randy, for a while, and he says they love the game and they love to learn, and they're only going to get better, so watch out, everybody else. Team China's coming. I
imagine they went around the country and just picked 4 guys who looked like they'd be good at curling.
Yeah.
And said, you're in.
You're in, exactly.
All right, Cory. Well, good luck this season. Oh, and by the way, thanks for picking up some items from the Curling Show store. We haven't exactly been deluged with orders, so I appreciate it. But I know the shipping costs to Canada are horrendous, but I got to work that out.
I was wondering if you could spot me a couple of bucks. I'm kind of short this month.
Yeah, I know. You're a little light, but you know what? I think you're okay, to be honest. From what I've seen so far, I think you're fine. I think you should have bought more, actually.
Okay. I'll buy some more for Christmas presents for my family.
All right. I mean, you can't beat the mugs at Christmas time. All right. Well, good luck this weekend. Good luck the rest of the season. It's been exciting to see your team get off to such a hot start, and it'll be interesting to see how things unfold the rest of the way.
Appreciate it, Dean.
That's Cory Naharnie on The Curling Show. Thanks for listening. And if you do know the answer to my question, which Wilson brother from the Rick Folk front end of 1980 wore the headband, and which one wore the Pittsburgh Pirates cap, please send me an email. It's got me vexed. Here's another tasty scoop of black pudding.
Don't you know it's hard for me to see things that I cannot find? How can I tell if it's a dream or just all in my mind?